Okay, so I'll be taking you guys for the UI class this morning, and promise me my voice is kind of cracky. Like I'm supposed to still be sleeping. This is one of the things we do, things we do for love, right? So, all right, like I mentioned, I'll be taking you guys for the UI class, and our topic for this morning is something that you will find so interesting. Yeah, you will find it so interesting because it's based on colors. Our topic today actually deals with colors, color psychology, how to pick the best color for your project. And I could remember the day I posted that sneak peek of a design I'm working on the Slack workspace. Someone made mention of the fact that he is still having, I can't remember his name, but he mentioned the fact that he's still having issues with his colors. Right. He said he's still having issues with colors. So, and I replied that that is a challenge we all faced. Every senior designer today didn't start from knowing how to select colors for the design at the start of their career. No, we all pass through that challenge phase. Like it is something you have to deal with as a designer. So don't say it as if it's you. No, it's not you. It's just the way it is. Because colors are tricky. Colors are very tricky and can actually colors define everything. As a UI designer, colors define your work. Colors actually makes people like your work, and it can make them also hate your work, or let me say dislike that work. So colors are powerful, and we need to know how to use it. And also we will talk about color psychology. So all this everything we'll be talking about today in today's class are things they will put into use for your projects as well. So you guys, if you can remember, if you attended yesterday's class, yesterday's session, I spoke about the fact that we are teaching you all with a curriculum. We have a curriculum we are using to teach. So everything, each topics you're learning every Saturday is under the curriculum we constructed, and it's beginners friendly, right? So that is why everything we'll be teaching you all, even for the UI class and for the UX class, you'll be making use of it, like you'll be using it on your projects. Now that you're gonna be taught how to use colors, how to choose colors, color psychology and all, this will help you in this project, in your projects, the projects you were given. You know why Paystack is using blue. You know why Coca-Cola is using red. Do you understand? You know why Flutterwave decides to use yellow. So each color has the emotions and the feelings they trigger. So that is why as a UI designer, you need to understand how color works. So for any challenge you're facing right now as a UI designer concerning color, I want to tell you that it is normal for a beginner to face that challenge. It is absolutely normal. If you don't face the challenge, Steph, I will ask you that what, like, are you sure you're actually a designer? Because I faced it, and I'm beating my chest to tell you that every senior designer you see today also had that challenge when they were starting out their career concerning picking color, using the right colors. So it is something that is normal, and it's not something you should feel bad about. But the more you practice, one thing about colors is once you read about color psychology, once you know about color psychology, the more you practice it, the more it stick with you. That is the good part of colors, like making use of colors for design, complementing colors, blending colors for your design. The more you practice, the more it stick with you. You can't run from colors, because as a UI designer, that is your main focal point. As a UI designer, that is your main focal point, making use of colors, right? So now let's dive into today's class. I'll give me a few minutes. Let me share my screen. All right, I want to share my screen. Yes, so the more you practice, the more it sticks with you. That is design. That is the rule of law for design. You can't run away from that rule of law. That is it. The more you practice, the more it stick with you. So that is the rule of law for design. So now I'm sharing my screen. Let's dive into today's class. And I'll be sending us concerning today class, since we are dealing with colors, I'll be sending us what's this book? Oh, I've forgotten. I'll be sending us this book on UI, refactoring UI. Yeah, I'll be sending us this. I don't know. I think Jadine sent it last week. Jaden sent the refactoring. Yeah, okay, he sent it last week. So you can just look into it. Awesome. So there is a section for colors as well. So you can also look into the book. Yeah, so all right, let's go into today's class there. All right, I believe everyone can see my screen. Now, colors. What are colors? You can see my screen, right? I said colors can speak in ways that are very bit as powerful as language. The way you see language, the way languages are powerful, that is the way colors are also powerful. Colors can actually triggers mood. Colors is not even can. Colors triggers mood. It actually triggers emotion. Colors set the path for you as a UI designer. They can reflect the personality of your brand, they can attract users, and they can better communicate your message. Colors can set the basic mood, tone, concept, and connotation for a brand or product. Yes, that is how powerful color is. Colors attract users. We will all agree with me that for UI attracts. And what are you using to attract them if not making use of the right colors? Now, if you guys look at what I did here, you will see the way I actually you would agree with me that this thing I did here is actually attractive. These boxes I created here with adding different colors to it, you all would agree with me that it is actually attractive. That is what color does. Colors attract users, it triggers emotions. Colors communicate your emotions to people, it communicates your message better. And that is why, as a UI designer, you need to know how to use colors appropriately. You don't just use colors anyhow. And that is why I mentioned that as you're starting as a beginner, you will face this challenge. But the more you practice that, the more you learn about colors, you would get used to it and you would know how to determine, like, how to make the right decisions concerning colors. So colors are as powerful as languages. They reflect the personality of a brand. Let me tell you something. Brands do not just use colors because they want to just vibe. It's not for vibes. Colors is not being used for based on vibes. Colors are being used because they are passing a message across, and that is why you need to know about color psychology. Can you please mute your mic? If you're hearing me and you know your mic is on, please mute your mic. Like I mentioned, Flutterwave isn't just using yellow because they just want to use yellow. Paystack is not using blue as their primary color based on vibes. They are not. Coca-Cola is not using red based on vibes. They all have messages they are passing across to their customers. That is why they decide to use those colors as their brand colors. So concerning colors, nothing is being used based on vibes. It's passing a message across. And that is why you need to know about color psychology. We will also treat that today. Now, you all would agree with me that what I did here is really beautiful. like this, the way I created this box, you would agree that it is really beautiful. That is to tell you the power of colors. All right, let's move on. Now we have different color types. For the traditional color types, we have monochromatic colors, we have triadic colors, we have analogous colors, we have complementary colors, and we have split complementary colors. All these I mentioned are traditional color types, right? So there are actually something you can start working with as designers. If you understand monochromatic color scheme and analogous color scheme and complementary color scheme and split complementary color scheme, you are a step closer to understanding how color works and when to use colors or how to blend colors. Do you understand? So now let's talk about monochromatic color schemes. Monochromatic schemes are easy to create but can also be boring when done poorly. You need to add in a strong neutral color like black or white to keep things interesting. Yeah, monochromatic color schemes can actually be boring sometimes if you don't add in neutral colors, because everything will just look once, like everything would be pale. Yeah, let me use that language. It will look pale, right? But you need to add in some sort of neutral colors like black and white to make it look interesting, right? Now, examples, yeah, three, it's actually three, but I didn't add the remaining one. Monochromatic color schemes. For the most part with these color schemes, the first color, if we look at this from left to right, will likely to be used for headlines, right? Yeah, now look at this color, right? From left to right, you see that it is the one at the left part. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it is most likely to be used for headline because it's actually sharp, right? While the second color will be used for body text because it is deep. So when I mentioned the fact that colors, using colors, this are actually that you're making a decision to pass across a message and you have reasons why you're making that decisions. So if you're using this particular one as an headline, let's say we want to use this one as an headline because it is what, why are we using it as an headline, right? It is sharp, right? It will attract. Now, the next one, the next color to it, I mean, the next shade rather, the next shade to it will be used as body text because it is deep, right? It is you don't use, okay, now let's talk about, you don't use black, that is 00000 for your text in design. Don't choose black in design. When you set out your color palette, you need to use, there's a tool on Figma called Tint and Shades. You use that to bring out different shades of that color you want to use. So at every stage in time, you use any shade you feel you want to use. So now, like the deep part of it, we can use it for text, for body text, right? While we can use the remaining three other shades here for, maybe for flyers, if you're designing flyers, or use it as accent colors, right? So this is an example, or these are examples of monochromatic color scheme. Please mute your mic. So now let's go to the next one. We have analogous color scheme rather. So analogous color scheme are the next easiest to create. They are created by using three colors that are next to each other on the 12-spoke color wheel. You all need to check out the color wheel. I did not add it to this slide because I feel that is something that you can actually easily see on Google. Right? Just input in your Google tab, just input the 12-spoke color wheel. You'll find it, right? So that would, if you, after the class, you can do that so you can have an idea of color wheel. But I'm sure you all actually know of the primary and secondary colors, like in the color wheel, primary, secondary, and tertiary color. That is why I did not bring it here, because it's something that everyone knows about even while you're in secondary school. Like, that is why I didn't bring the primary, secondary, and tertiary colors on colors way into this class. Right. So now, because we are focusing on colors in UI design, and also you still need to know about that. The You need to know, as I mean, as a graduate, or as someone in college or wherever, I'm sure you would have known about primary colors. You know primary colors, you know secondary colors, and you know tertiary colors. So that is not like something strange to you, right? So I'm saying that analogous color schemes are created by using three colors that are next to each other on the 12 spoke color wheel. Traditionally, analogous color scheme all have the same chroma level, but by using tools, shades, and tints, we can add interest to these schemes and adapt them to our needs for designing websites. So these are examples of analogous color scheme. When you check out the color wheel, you will understand what I actually explained here more better. Right. Like I mentioned, you are using three colors next to each other to create analogous color scheme. Now let's move on. Now, complementary color scheme. This is what a lot of designers actually use more. This one is where we actually focus on more as user interface designers. Complementary schemes are created by combining colors from opposite sides of the color wheel. That is why I said you should actually check the color wheel. You should check it out, because don't need bringing it here.
When you find the
Can
correct
you guys still
person's
see
email,
my screen? Can you guys still see my screen? So complementary color schemes are created by combining colors from opposite sides of the color wheel. In their most basic form, these schemes
right below
consist of only two colors, but can easily be expanded using tones, tints,
when
and
you need
shades.
to save the picture, retrieve it from the drafts folder. It will be stored
Guys,
there
please
until you
mute your mic. Please mute your
return
mic.
it. Further details to
Please mute your mic. I'm sure, can you guys still see my screen? All right, you can still see my screen. Awesome. All right, so we are talking about complementary color scheme. So I said this is where designers actually focus on. This is the type of color scheme that designers focus on, because you, as a UI designer, you are using colors that complement each other. That is what actually makes your UI more beautiful. You don't use colors that are opposite each other. No, you use colors that, and I mean, you don't use colors that back each other. You use colors that are opposite, that face each other, that are beautiful, right? That when you place it on, let's say you have a square on your Figma board, you put in blue, right? Let's quickly do what I want to say now. This is the way, when I started out my career as a UI designer. Let me show you guys the way I always do it. I have other ones I still do that I did then. But complementary colors, how to easily get complementary colors, apart from the fact that you are using the opposite sides of the color wheel, like, right, colors from the opposite sides of the color wheel. If you don't want to put color wheel in your head, into your head, like you don't want to cram, or yeah, put all the color wheels into your head, you can go on your Figma board, you draw out a square shape, then you put a color. Let's just practicalize what I'm trying to say here. Let's practicalize what I'm trying to say before we go back. All right, so let's say this is it, right? This is a square shape, right? This is a square shape. Now let's say we want to use let's choose blue. Okay, so we are using this blue. I'm sure everyone can see my screen, right? So we are using this blue as our primary color. We are talking about complementary colors. This is the easiest way to get colors that complement each other to use for your design. So let's say we're using blue as our primary color for that design, for that project. Blue is going to be our primary brand color, right? Now we need another color to use as a secondary color, and your secondary color have to be colors that complement with blue, colors that actually go with blue, with this particular blue, not just anyhow blue. We have sky blue, right? We have powder blue, so we have different kinds of blue. And now we have this blue. Now we need to look for a color that will complement this blue so you can use it for your design. You already know you are using this particular blue as your primary brand color. Now you come here, you draw another shape. You can see it. You draw another shape like this, you put it here. You can see what I'm trying to do. You put the shape inside your primary, your brand's primary color. Then you go to this side also on Figma, right? This is how you actually get to know how to use complementary colors as beginner, like I mentioned, as beginner. Even some intermediates and senior level still try this trick out. It is actually easy. It helps you to easily know colors that complement each other. Now what do? You're looking for the color that will complement this exact blue you're using as a primary color. Now you come to this place, you try out different colors. This doesn't work, so that is you keep trying it out till you find the one that would work, right? Now awesome. So I think we have like something, we have something we can still go with. So look at it. We have something we can still go with. This is a color that complements this blue as a primary color. So you are using this as your secondary color, right? While the blue is gonna be your primary color. Do you guys understand? So this is the way you actually get colors that this is the way you can easily, it is a trick you can easily put together to get colors that complement each other. If you want to work on a design, like you're trying to put together a complementary color scheme, right? So that is just what we just did. Now it is actually easy for you to go with this trick because you're just starting out. It would reduce your stress, right? We can also use another shade. You just keep trying out another color that actually this works, Abby. Now let's say you don't want to use this, we can also try this. This also work, right? This also work. Let's say okay, this also work. This is also another color that complements this blue, right? So it's, you need to just find a trick, and this trick I just mentioned as a UI designer, it would help you as you're just starting. If you can follow this trick to find out, to bring out complementary colors. All right, so let's go back to our presentation now. A word of warning though, using colors that are exact opposites with the same chroma or value right next to each other can be visually jarring. That is, they will appear to actually vibrate along their border in the most severe uses. This is best avoided either by leaving negative space or by adding another transitional color between them, right? So I just did an example of how you can actually get complementary colors, like colors that complement each other. Now this is color wheel. Now look at color wheel. Like this is an example of color wheel, right? Now we have complementary. Look at it. You see that they are opposite each other. You can see where my cursor is. They're opposite each other, right? You pick from here and you pick from here. Now analogous. Look at where they are. They are more like tint and shades, the exact color. While tragic, look at the tragic color. This is how you actually pick your tragic color. I mentioned the fact that tragic is also a traditional color scheme type, and split complementary. This is how you pick split complementary on the color wheels, and this is square and this is rectangle, right? So knowing this would actually help you in choosing the right colors for your design. Please, if your mic is mute, if your mic is unmuted, please mute your mic. All right, now let's move on. Let's move on. Awesome. This is where we are gonna talk about color psychology. So I made mention of the fact that colors triggers emotions. Colors communicate your message as a brand. So now, what what is color psychology? How do you understand colors? How do you understand the concept behind those colors? What what does that color, what is that color saying? What does that color represent? I said Paystack uses blue because they are not just using it for vibes. They are using it because it is passing their brand message across to their customers. Flutterwave also decided to use yellow because it is passing their brand message, their brand values. Yeah, let me not use message, their brand values to their customers. So color psychology actually it passes message across to people, and it triggers emotions, right? It makes people have a sense of feeling at the first look of that design. The relationship between color and human psychology is called color psychology. Colors can stimulate the emotions of many people, right? Colors can help your website design stand out by grabbing the user's attention when you use the right colors combination. See, colors are very powerful. I mentioned it before, like colors are really, really powerful in design, and they all have meaning. Brands use colors because it is passing their brand values across to their customers. Right? Before deciding the main colors of an app, you need to perfectly find out the tone of that color. Like the tone, I mean the message the color is passing across. You need to realize that. That is why, as a designer, you need to understand color psychology. It is not something you should run away from. It is something you should let it be in your head, because you're working with colors and you should understand how each color works. Right? You should understand how each color works, and that is why, because it will help you. That is your superpower as a designer. It will help you when you understand what each color means. It will really help you. Now, look at red. What does red mean? Why is Coca-Cola using red as their primary color? Excitement, strength, love, energy. If you would agree with me, have you ever seen a Coca-Cola's advertisement that is boring, that is dull? I mean, have you ever come across a Coca-Cola advertisement on your TV screen and you see a boring advertisement, like it is dull, it is boring, there's no excitement in it? Have you ever seen it? So that is to tell you that every brand uses a particular color to pass their brand values across to their customers. So red means excitement, love, energy, strength. So if you want to use red for any brand, let it be that you understand the values of that brand. Being a designer actually takes a lot. It takes a lot of work, a lot of brain work, right? So if you want to use red for any brand, ensure that you understand the brand values, you know their values. You don't just use colors based on vibes as primary colors. You should understand why you are using that color, right? Because once your potential users or your users see that interface, it will trigger something in them, it will trigger emotions, it will communicate message to them. So that is why you need to use the right colors. Now let's look at orange. What does orange talk about? What does orange speak? Orange means confidence, orange means success, it means bravery, it means sociability. If you are designing an app that, okay, if you are designing a food app, like an app that what they do is food, like it involves booking, all these food app that you that beginners actually does in their design, like that is the first design project they work on. um Placing an order in a restaurant and all. Please, if your mic is unmuted, please mute your mic. If you want to design a food app where users can actually order food from their favorite restaurants, you can use red. You can use red as a primary color. Why? Because red red attracts, it communicates energy, right? So you can use red because it will call their attention. You know what food is all about now? Food is, and nobody will see food and be sad. So that's excitement. Nobody would see food and be sad, right? So that is why you can use red as a primary color if you are designing a food app. That is, you are designing an app that allow users order food from their favorite restaurants. You can also use orange as the secondary color, or you can use orange as a primary color instead of red as well. When we look at Jumia foods, Jumia actually make use of orange as their primary color. You can see, what does it pass across to users? Confidence, success, bravery, sociability, right? So now let's move on to yellow. Yellow, creativity, happiness, warmth, cheer. When you're using yellow, you already know that this is the tone you are passing across to your users, right? And also green. If you want to use green, please, you can, of course, you can't even use green for a fintech product. Anything green, you are using it for a product or a platform that deals with nature. Whenever I'm reviewing design, I do look at the colors. I do ask, like, why did you pick this color? If I say that the designer is using a particular color, like the person is designing a fintech app and I'm seeing brown as the primary color, I do ask, like, what actually led to this decision? What led to this your color choice? What led to the decision? Because I am not expecting brown on a fintech app design. I'm not expecting to see brown, because brown has another message it pass across and not something related to what a fintech product means, right? So now we are talking about green. Green talks about nature, healing, freshness, quality. So if you're designing a platform that sells raw food materials from farm, you can use green. Raw food materials, not the cooked one from eatery, from restaurants. Raw food materials, like on that platform, you can your users can actually order for raw food materials from the farm directly. You know, that one, you are dealing with nature, right? So you can actually use green. Or if you are designing a product that it's like you're designing a platform for farmers, where farmers can actually come together, sign up, where you can connect farmers to people who need raw food materials and they will deliver it directly, like a platform for farmers. So you are dealing with freshness, right? Nature. So you can actually use green, but you can't use green in a fintech product. It doesn't work at all. That is why you need to understand color psychology, what each color means and how it make users feel. Awesome. Now let's go to blue. Blue depicts trust, peace, loyalty, and competence. Paystack is using blue because these are their brand values: trust, peace, loyalty, competence. Those are their brand values, and that color is picking their brand values. And that is why a whole lot of products or platforms that these are their brand values are using blue. Look at Facebook. Facebook primary color is blue. They have been using that blue since forever, since I've known Facebook. Why? Because these are their brand values. Like, what they want you to do, they want their users to trust them. They want their users to feel at peace, right? So Blue depicts trust, and that is why Facebook is still using blue till tomorrow. That is why a whole lot of fintech platform uses blue. There are so many other fintech platforms that doesn't use blue. It's not like all fintech platforms must use blue, but it is just that it has to rhyme with your brand value. Brands uses colors that actually speak their brand values to their customers. Okay, let's move on. Pink. Pink. What does pink speak about? Pink depicts compassion, sincerity, sophistication, and sweet. So if you're using pink in a design, you should know that this is what the brand is trying to communicate, or that's their brand value: compassion, sincerity, sophistication, sweet. And then we have purple. We all know that naturally purple is royalty. We all know that naturally purple is royalty. So for brands that use purple, what they're trying to put across to their users, the message they're going to pass across is that they have royalty, spirituality, ambition, luxury. Purple depicts royalty. That's one everyone knows about that. Like it's something you should even know normally as a person. Once you see purple, you see royalty. Like that is the one message that comes to your head direct. Right. Awesome. So the next one is brown. Brown, what does brown speaks about? Brown depicts dependable, rugged, trustworthy, simple. As a designer, you should know when to use brown. Like people, or let me say, companies and brands uses colors that actually pass their message across, like I mentioned. So don't just use colors based on vibes, please. Then we have black. Who can tell me of a well-known brand that uses black and white? The brand is actually a very well-known brand, a big brand. Nike. Nike uses black and white because it actually depicts their brand values. You will see a Nike shoe, their Nike sneakers. You will see that their logo mark is either black or white. Like it's black and white. Nike primary color is black. Right. And what does black depict? Formality, dramatic, sophistication, security. And then white means clean, simplicity, innocence, honest. So for every brand that uses any colors, they have a tone they are passing across. They have a message they are passing across to their customers. And you, as a UI designer, you need to be in sync with color psychology. You need to read more about color psychology, what each color stands for, right? So in your designs, you don't just pick colors because you want to pick this color or because you like this color. Why are you using that color? All right, so let's move on. Our next topic we are talking about is contrast. Contrast. So contrast is another important principle which help us design better interfaces. Contrast is a UI principle. It's not only about light and dark color opposites or small and big sizes. It's more than that. Contrast helps us organize our content in a better way. Also, contrast help users to focus on certain elements. Right. Contrast is actually good. Yeah, I'm sorry, few minutes. Okay, so contrast creates a visual balance and interest in design. However however too much contrast can be confusing for users. Sure, you understand. So contrast is actually something that you need to be careful of as a designer. You need to make good use of it. So sorry about the distraction, right? I just needed to attend to something. So, however, I said contrast creates a visual balance and interest in design. However, too much contrast can be confusing for users. Yeah, you guys should give me a few minutes, please. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So you need to know what contrast means, like, because every design there should be a contrast in every design. It's a principle, it's a UI design principle that actually makes us design better interfaces. There should be a contrast in every design. Do you guys understand? Now, because it creates visual balance. Now, let's look at these two examples. Look at these two examples. The one on the left hand side, there is no contrast. The one on the left hand side, there is no contrast. While the one on the right hand side, there is contrast. You all can see, you can see you can see the differences in this design. Now, the one on the left hand side, you see that everything looks pale. It doesn't strike any contrast in the head of users, or like you're seeing it and it just looks pale to you. Now look at this field, the email address field on the left hand side where my cursor is. This field is actually an active state because the user is typing. I am typing my email address, right? So there is supposed to be a contrast to show users that that field is active, that it is an active state. Do you guys understand me? Right. So the way this design is a wrong design, right? So you don't do something like this. You need to create a visual balance. Contrast is all about creating a visual balance in design. Do you guys understand? So because this state here is an active state, the input field for the email address is an active state, it is not supposed to be like this. Everything isn't supposed to look gray like this. It isn't supposed to be pale. And look at the button also. Here you can't signify if these are buttons or they're just normal text as well. Are you guys with me? So you need to create that visual balance. Right. So now look at the correct one. There should be the activeness, like it should be stated using the colors, like, okay, this is our primary color. And because this input field is on active state right now, the user is typing our email address. So you need to use your color to actually showcase an active state. That is where the contrast comes in. Can you see? It is different from this. It looks different from the password field because the password field is still inactive. Do you understand? The password field is still inactive, so it is fine that way. But because this is active, this email address field is an active state. That is why it should be like this. Do you get? Awesome. Now for the button, you need to make them look that they are buttons, not just the normal text the way this is. You need to let it show, like the user should be able to identify and differentiate buttons from text. So this already shows that this is a good contrast that shows that this is different from this. So it creates a visual balance. So the users, in the user's head, they already know that, okay, this is a sign in button, and this is if they want to cancel, that is if they don't want to sign in. Do you guys understand me? So contrast is actually very important in design. We also have text contrast, like placing a color upon another color. Right? Like you're placing a particular color on another color. We would move to that now. Right? So contrast is really important. Your design needs to have contrast. Your design must have contrast in it. It is really, really important because it creates a visual balance. Right? Okay. Let's move on. Aim at creating just the right amount of contrast by playing with size, color, weight, styles, fonts. Fonts that is can be among serif and sans serif. Also, the difference between light and dark element is called contrast. Now, if we want to draw users' attention or want to highlight something, we use contrast. Now look at this example again. This is a poor contrast. The one I have at the left hand side is a poor contrast. You can see, look at it like very well. If you look at this part, can you see this? You can see that it doesn't really, it is not bold. The poor contrast rating, the color, it's not bold. Like because we have users that are, you need to learn about your users. Like there are users, some users have color blind, right? Some users have color blind, they have blurry vision. That is why your design, you need to make contrast an important part of your design. It is a UI principle that you as a UI designer, you need to always be conscious of, because we have different kinds of users, right? And some users have color blindness. Some users have color blindness. So a user with color blindness, a user that has color blindness won't see this design here at the left hand side. The user will see this design because it is not visible enough, and that is a bad UI. It's a poor UI. But over here, we can see that it is bold. This is a good contrast because the text is different from the background. Like it's actually came out from the background. It is, you can see that it doesn't blend into the background. Yeah, let me use that word. You see that this text here does not blend, or it did not blend into the background. So you need to create enough contrast in your design, because we have different kind of users, and you don't want your users to start using glasses because they want to see your design. Do you guys understand? You don't want your users to start using glasses because they want to see your design. So you should be able to create good contrast in your design. Now let's do just one small practical of contrast. Let's come here. Okay. So let's say we have this. Let me delete this. Okay, so let's say we have this as the background. Or no, let me use so let's say we have this as the background. Oh no, let me go back to that. We have this blue as our background. So you are now writing text. You now want to write text. I hope you guys can see my screen. No, I hope everyone can see my screen. So you're now writing text like, okay, let's say is a this is a great session. All right. So this is your text, right? Let's talk about poor contrast here. So you're now making your text color something like this. This is a poor contrast. Can you guys see what I did here? Because doesn't it doesn't create any balance, it doesn't strike any balance. This contrast is very poor. It doesn't strike any balance. You can see that your users will find it very difficult to see this text here because it's blending into the background. It blends into the background, so they'll find it difficult to see this text. This is actually a very poor contrast. Right now, how do we make this better? You use a color that actually makes it brighter. You can see now. Now anyone can see this text. Nobody needs to use glasses before they can see this. This is a good contrast. This is a good contrast. You can see the text clearly. You can see the text clearly, unlike the one we had before. That is what contrast does. You need, while you're designing, you need to be very, very conscious of contrast. Let's make use of a button. Let's look at a button, for example. Let's say we have a button. Okay, let's say we have a button. This is a button, right? Let's say this is a button, and we're using this as a primary color, right, for our button. We're using this red as a primary color for our button. Don't forget, what are we talking about? We are discussing contrast. So this is our button, right? And you want your button text, let's say you're writing, you want to write create account. Okay, create account. Right, your button text, create account. All right, so let's a form of a poor contrast. So you now have this kind of color as your text for the button. You can see this is actually a very poor contrast. Do you guys understand? This is actually what we have here is a poor contrast for this button that we just created, because it blends into the design. It's not visible enough. For users that have color blindness, this is not gonna help them. And your design needs to cater for the different kind of users we have, the different kinds of people we have. So this is a wrong design, a wrong contrast. This is a very poor contrast. And now let's look at the good one. Let's say we have it like this. Good. This is better. You can see that it is different from the background, like that visual balance is there. So this is exactly all what contrast is all about. Right? Do you guys understand? This is all what contrast is all about. You need to create visual balance. Right? So now let's continue. Let's move ahead. Okay, so we have the 60-30-10 rule. There's a rule for the colors. There's a color rule, created color scheme. It's called the 60-30-10 rule. It helps you create a proper balance. The 60-30-10 rule helps you create a proper balance. Right. So it's actually about 60% is your dominant color, while 30% is your secondary color, while the 10% is for your accent color. Look at this example here. Look at the example of this house. Can you guys see can you guys see my screen? Let me go back. Let me make sure you guys are with me. So I know I'm not talking to myself. Are you guys with me? So I don't want to, like, it's not like I'm talking to myself since. All right, awesome. Awesome. So let's go back to our presentation. All right. So now look at this house. Look at this beautiful interior. Look at it. We have a color that is the dominant color. That is the 60%, the one that carries 60%. Then we have the one that carries 30%. Then we have the one with 10%. Right. So the 60, 30, 10% rule, it helps you to create a color scheme that has harmony. Right. It harmonizes your color scheme and gives a well balanced interface. So for the 60%, it's your dominant color. The one that carries the 60% is your dominant color. Let's say that is your primary color for your design. While the 30% is the one that carries your secondary color. The 30% goes to your secondary color, while the 10% goes to the accent color. Right. Look at the example of this interior now. We have the orange. The orange is the 60%, while the blue is the 30%, while this neutral color here is the 10%. You can see that there's a balance. You see that this sitting room is actually attractive. It creates a balance. That is why when you see some interior decorations, you'll be impressed. You will want to lick your screen. If you're actually seeing it on maybe your phone or your laptop, you would want to lick your screen because you just see that everything is just in harmony. The colors are harmonized and you would love it. That is what color does. And in your work, you need to create this rule as well. This rule is what you should actually use in creating your color scheme. The 60, 30, 10% rule, do not forget it. It helps you create an harmonized color scheme and you have a well balanced interface. So the one for the 60% is your dominant color that we can also call your primary color, while the 30% is for your secondary color, while the 10% is for the accent color. Right. Now let's move on. So do not forget this 60, 30, 10 rule is something you should have in your head. Like every designer makes use of it. In all designs you are seeing, this rule exists in that design. Any design you are seeing, this rule exists in that design. There's always a color that is the primary color that carries 60%. While for the secondary color, that one takes 30%, and for the primary for the accent color, that one takes 10%. So the 60, 30, 10 rule is something you should always note. All right. So now let's move on to another example. So this is another example of a 60, 30, 10%. Look at this interiors as well. Look at it. You can see that the cream color is the 60%, is the real primary color for this sitting room, while the 30% goes to this yellow. Right. The 30% goes to the yellow, while the 10% goes to the black. Right. You can see that it strikes a balance. Right. So that is what you should know as a designer. Your goal should be that your designs should strike a balance. Your color scheme should be harmonized. Your color scheme should be harmonized. Do you understand? Now let's go to the next one, designing a color palette. Now we discussed colors. You know what colors are. You know what traditional color types are. The monochromatic, the analogous, the complementary, the triadic, the split complementary. Right. You know what that means, right? I know when to use them. And now we also spoke about excuse me, we also spoke about contrast. How contrast is really important, and how do you create contrast, and when to know you've created a good contrast and a bad contrast. We also spoke about brand psychology. I made mention of the fact that brand psychology, sorry, color psychology. Brands make use of colors because it passes their brand values across to their customers. No brand is using any color based on vibes. They are using it because it is passing a message across. And I also made mention of the fact that colors actually trigger emotions. So you need to know how to use them very well. And we also spoke about the 60-30-10% rule. That would actually guide you when you're trying to create your color palette. Your primary color should carry the 60%, while your secondary color should carry the 30%, while your accent color should be the 10%. So doing that, your design is well balanced and very attractive, and you are creating a harmonized color palette by doing that. Now, designing a color palette. How do you now create your own color palette? Creating your own color scheme can be a bit intimidating, but it's not as complicated as many people think. And there are quite few tricks you can use to create your color palette right from the start. I've made mention of one. Do you guys understand? I already made mention of one trick you can use to create your color palette. You've created blue, or you have blue as a brand primary color. Let's assume you're designing a fintech platform. You have that blue at the initial stage. You have the blue as a primary color, your brand color. Then how do you look for your secondary color? I actually explained the trick, the way you actually sort out your secondary color. And I also made mention of the fact that you should have a plugin on your Figma software. It's called Tint and Shades. It helps you to bring out the different shades of the colors you've decided to use. The different shades of your primary colors and the different shades of the secondary color. Let's let's make use of Tint and Shades. Let's quickly run. Let's go back to do the practice by running Tint and Shades. Let's just quickly run Tint and Shades here. So let's say, okay, let's delete this. Let's delete this. So let's say we are having this blue as our primary color. This blue is our primary color, right? So how do you use tints and shades? Please, everybody, pay attention to this part. Pay attention to this part. Now, how do you use tints and shades? You right click on this rectangle. Can you please mute your mic? If you notice your mic is unmuted, please kindly mute your mic. So you right click on this rectangle, come to plugins, then you look for tints and shades. Look at it, tints and shades, right? Then you click on tints and shades. It brings out this pop-up, generate colors. What are we trying to do? We are trying to create the shades of this blue color here, because we are using this blue as our primary color, but we need the different shades as well. So what do you do now? Here you click on generate colors, and it brings out this for you. So these are the different shades of this primary color we have here. So this is one trick of also creating your color palette, right? You can see it's very simple. So let's assume you're having another color. This is your primary color. This is your primary color, right? So let's assume you're having another color as a secondary color. Command D, you duplicate that. So let's use our secondary color would be, let's choose trying to create a secondary color. Okay, yeah, we can use this as secondary color. So same thing, this is a secondary color. How do you get the shades of this color? You right click on it, right? You go to plugins, right? Then you come to tint and shades. Ensure you have installed this plugin on your Figma, because if you don't install it, you will see it in the list of your plugin. So you click on tint and shades, you generate colors, you click on the button generate colors, you generate colors, and there you have it. So you see that you've created your color palette now, right? Then you add your neutral colors to it. Let's add our neutral colors. Command D, let's add our neutral colors. Let's say here we have our neutral colors, that is black, gray, and white. So let's say we have this. no, we can't have 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. So let's say we have this as a neutral color. Okay, so let's say we are having this as a neutral color. So to generate the shade as well, you do the same thing, right? Tints and shades, generate colors. Also, so here you have your color palettes to work with now. Do you understand? We have our primary color, which is the blue. These are the shades of it. You have your secondary color, which is this pink. These are the shades, and you have your neutral color also. These are the shades of the neutral colors you'll be using. So these are this is the easiest trick in creating your own color palette, right? And we also, let's go back to our presentation. All right, so you can also use this is a color palette. This is a color palette I just did here. So this is a color palette. We have the, you can see, just from what we just did, you should understand how this work, how I did this, right? You have this as well, right? So now, why shades, tones, and tints are important? So when you mix in tones, shades, and tints, you expand the basic 12-spoke color wheel into an infinite color number of colors for use in your designs. One of the simplest ways to create a professional color scheme is to take a few tones, tints, and shades of a given color and then add in another pure hue that's at least 3 spaces away on the color wheel, part of a tetradic or split complementary color as an asset color. This adds visual interest to your color scheme while still retaining a sense of balance. So everything I'm trying to say here is what we just practiced over here, right? So you have created this, then you arrange it, you set out your color palette, you arrange it, you don't just leave it like this, you have to arrange it to see how they actually go with each other, how it flows. Do you understand? So here we have, you have your dominant color, you have your secondary color, and you have your accent color, right? So this is gonna be your dominant color, your brand color, the primary color, the blue. Then your secondary color that will take 30%, this pink, and then your accent color is this neutral color that will take 10% of the design. Are you guys with me? I don't know. Do you guys understand this grammar I've been speaking since morning? Right. So, okay. Now, neutrals are another important part of creating a color scheme. Gray, black, white, brown, off-white are generally considered neutral colors. In your color scheme, you need to have neutral colors. In your color palette, you can't design a good color palette without having neutral colors. And that is why we have it over here as well. You can see it. So when you are putting it together now as a standard color palette, you will see everything would actually rhyme, right? You bring them out. Do you understand? So neutrals have to be part of your color palette because they actually strike a balance. Neutrals, we have the gray, the black, the white, brown. They strike a balance between your primary and your secondary colors. Yeah. So black and white can also look either warm or cool depending on the surrounding colors. Do you understand? Okay, now let's go to another trick you can use to create your color palette or your color scheme is by using pictures. When I started out my career in design, I used this as well. Yeah, I used this trick. You can actually generate colors from a picture. Like if you're wondering, you don't know the right color to use for that design, you don't know the exact color to use for that design, you can actually look for any picture of your choice online. You can go on Pixels. You can go on Pixels to search for any picture of yourself, any favorite picture you like, and you use a color palette generator to actually bring out colors from them, right? So I also used this trick very well when I was starting my career. I mean, I used this trick using photos. It is actually sweet. If you don't know the color to use for a design, this trick actually works well. This trick really works well. Just go and look for pictures. You can see the picture that you really like this picture. Use the color generating tool, and then you have your color scheme, you have your color palette. Very easy, like very easy, no stress, right? So I would advise you use this trick if you are still starting out and you really don't have a good choice of color yet. Like, you should use this. This is very easy. It is very easy. Now look at this image. From this image we derived these colors. From this image we derived these colors: our primary, our secondary, and our accent color. Do you guys understand? Same with this one as well. From this image as well, we use it to derive our colors: our primary color, the secondary color, and the accent color as well. So using pictures to generate your color scheme is also one of the easiest trick that can save you a lot of stress as a UI designer that is just starting as a beginner. It is actually very easy. You don't need to stress yourself. You just need to look for that picture you know that is very beautiful online. Then you use a color palette generator tool to generate the color palette, and then you save it, and that's fine. You're done. And then you have your color palette ready to start working, right? So like I mentioned, I use this and it is beautiful. See, this one is very easy to do and it's very sweet. Like, you don't have to stress yourself. All right. Now, color palette tools. What are the tools you can use to generate color palettes? That's tools you can use to create color palettes. We have colors.co. When I send you this slide, you guys, these links are clickable. These are clickable links. I'll click on them now. So we have colors.co. So colors, the app automatically generates color schemes for you to browse. It also has a color blindness toggle, so you can view colors from an accessibility standpoint. Remember, your design has to be accessible by the different kind of users we have. Your designs have to be accessible. So this is colors.co. So a lot of people use colors.co to generate their design. Right. Now let's click on it. A lot of people use colors.co. Colors.co to generate their design. So we are trying to open it. All right. Yeah, this is colors.co. Look at it. So it's a very simple way of using it to generate color palettes. It also have a Figma plugin, so you can use it as well. There's a Figma plugin for it. So when you install the Figma plugin, you just go to the same way we did Tint and Shades, just that same way. You have your color palette. And if it's a picture, you put your picture there, you paste the picture on your Figma frame, right? And then you click on it, and then you generate the color. You go to colors.co plugin and you generate your color palette, and then you have your color palette, right? So this is a color generator tool that is very, very nice. It is super efficient. Colors.co. Then the next one, we have Adobe Color Cc. This tool uses an actual color wheel to help you visualize options, and you can switch between different color combinations. That is analogous, monochromatic, tried, complementary, compound shades, or customize it. So let's go to Adobe Color Cc also. I said when you have this slide, you can actually click on the links as well. So Adobe Color Cc. All right, so this is Adobe Color Cc. So look at the way it is. It is actually very easy if you want to create color harmony. You have this is the Analogous. If you want to create monochromatic, you come to monochromatic, it creates it for you. If what you need is complementary, click on complementary, it creates it. Can you guys see that life is so simple? You can see that life is so easy. So if what you want is split complementary, you click on it, it creates the color palette for you, and then you can move it however you want. However you want, you can move it. Right. So this is complementary. Let's say you want it like this. You can see. So just play with it and all. So let's move on. And then we have color mind. The deep learning tool picks out color palettes from photos, movies, and art to create palettes that you can use. Here we talk about creating color palettes from images, from pictures. So you can use color mind to also create color palettes out of pictures. You can also use Canva color palette generator. This is designed to also pull colors from images. Like you will get a palette that matches your favorite picture. Then we also have paletting. This tool also uses a color wheel visually and allows you to choose the type of palette you want. You can also export and share color combinations with this particular tool. Then we have color lovers. With several options to get started, just fill out the form and mix and match your favorite hues with a list of X, RGB, and HSV. You can also save palettes for later and even match later from photos. Now look at the right hand side. This is a picture and I generated the color palette from these images. This image rather. This is an image and I created a color palette from this image. So this is another easiest way to create your color palette if you want to design. You can make use of picture. Just find a very nice picture you know that has more of the colors you want, and then use these tools. I actually use any of these tools I listed here, and you're fine, and you have your color palette. So start working. Now, the last but not the least for our class today. Are you guys tired? I hope you guys are not tired, Sha. I hope you guys are not tired. So the last but not the least for on our topic today concerning colors and color psychology and all is gradient style. Gradient style. I'm sure you guys have seen you've seen gradients, but you don't know how to create gradients. Like we have linear gradients. You've seen them, they're beautiful, but you don't know how to create them. So gradients are also known as color transitions. They are a gradual blending from one color to another. Gradients are all about you blending colors from one color to another. And also, gradients are not limited to two shades alone. You can have 3 to 4 shades of gradients. Yes, you can have 3 to 4 shades of gradients. Gradients can blend or transition similar colors. Do you understand? Gradients can blend or transition similar colors. So these are examples of gradients. These are examples of gradients. Like you can have, it's not just 2 colors alone. You can have three shades of gradients. You can have 4. You can have 5. But please, when you are creating gradients, you need to be very conscious of the color you are using. Gradient is very, very difficult. If you don't know how to do it, don't even go near it, because it can make people curse you as the designer. Yeah, that is how tricky gradients are. Gradients are nice when done properly. They are beautiful when done properly. If you are not it yet, don't even bother doing it. Don't even bother using it in a design, because it can make your users curse you, because it creates different emotions. It triggers different emotions. If it's done properly, it triggers a very exciting emotion if it's done properly. But if it's done badly, if it's not done correctly, like you don't even want to see how people would feel. So gradients are beautiful, are sweet, but you need to keep practicing it. Don't just do it, practice once and use it in a design. No, it doesn't work that way. You need to keep practicing it, keep practicing gradients. Like It is sweet to do, but it's not something you can get once. And if you know you're not sure of what you've done, please don't use gradients, use solid colors, please. Most people that I know use gradients are people that are really good with it, that are senior designers that are really good with it. Gradient is more like a talent. Yeah, see, creating gradient is more like a skill, because not all designers have that skill. So if the easiest part to it is that if you know you are not good with it yet, or you can't do it yet, just ignore it and use solid colors. Do you understand? Just ignore it and use solid colors. Like I mentioned, gradients are beautiful, they are nice, they are visually appealing when done properly. If you don't know how to use it, if you don't know how to create it, please use solid colors. That is just one color. If you use pink, you want to use blue, you want to use green, just one color. Right. So now, how do you create gradients? Gradients best practices. How do you create gradients? Choose the right colors. You need to choose the right colors. Like I made mention, gradient triggers emotions, and that is why you have to use the right colors. You want people to have a certain feeling when they visit that app, or when they're using that app, or when they visit that website. You want them to have a certain feeling. So what feeling exactly are you trying to create? Are you trying to create a warm feeling, or you are trying to create a cool feeling? Do you understand? So that is why I mentioned that colors actually triggers emotions. So which tone are you trying to create from that gradient? That is why you need to choose the right colors. Warm gradients are always not that fine. They are not that cool, right? Because it doesn't have that excitement. But you see cool gradients, gradient that triggers cool feeling, that triggers cool state of mind, they are actually very nice. So the emotions you're trying to evoke in your audience is very important when you are creating gradients. You need to choose the right colors, right? The most important aspect of the gradient trend is the colors you choose. Yes, that is the most important aspect. The colors you choose really, really goes a long way. In order for the gradient trend to look well designed, you want to either choose colors that are a similar shade. For example, a gradient that fades from light blue to dark blue. Yes, we have this kind of gradient that fades from light blue to dark blue. Or colors that work together according to color theory, like complementary colors that are opposite each other on the color wheel. Do you understand? So all what I'm trying to tell you is that you need to choose the right colors, and you can do it from a similar shade, that is from light blue to dark blue, or you can also do it with the use of complementary colors, colors that are opposite each other on the color wheel, or analogous colors, the three colors side by side on the color wheel, or the triadic colors, the three colors spaced equally apart on the color wheel. It is also important to choose colors that are aligned with this kind of feeling, with the kind of feeling and emotional response you're trying to evoke in your audience. Do not forget that. Colors deal with emotions, so do not forget. It is important to use colors that align with the kind of feeling. What kind of feeling are you trying to evoke in your audience? What kind of feeling do you want them to feel? Do you understand? Do you want people to feel calm? Do you want them to feel serene? Like, what kind of feeling are you trying to evoke? It is really important you have that in mind when you're trying to create gradients. Now, we also have use gradients wisely. Like we said, gradients are versatile. You can use them to add depth to a flat design, to add visual interest to a solid color background as an overlay. The list goes on and on. Apart from choosing the right colors, you need to use gradients wisely as well. Yeah, you need to use gradient wisely. Apart from choosing the right colors, you need to use gradient wisely, right? But because they are versatile doesn't mean all the gradients should now be your new design motto, right? So, there's this motto that says, or there's this saying in design that says, less is more. Less is more, yeah. So, the more you practice gradients, the more you get to understand it. And please, when you're just practicing, don't use it in any design. Please, don't let people want to look for you and break your head. Yeah, that is what gradients can do. Excuse me. Don't let people see your design, they want to look for you and break your head. Please use it when you already know that you are creating like what you've created is very, very good, and you were able to get the right feeling you're trying to evoke in your audience. Yeah, keep the design simple, don't go overboard. You should be using gradients, but make sure you are using them wisely. If at all you want to use gradients, make sure you use them wisely, right? So see, this is a beautiful gradient. You can see this, like, if you would agree with me, you see that this gradient here is actually very fun. It's beautiful. You can see, right? So that is what gradient does. Like, it's something that it creates a certain feeling that when you see it, you'll be attracted to it. When it's done properly, it's really beautiful. Very beautiful when it's done properly. Now we are on gradient best practices, right? Know your audience. Another thing to consider when you're trying to create a gradient style is that you need to know your audience. Who are your audience? That is what will help you in choosing the right gradient colors, the right colors to use to create your gradients, right? Because they are gonna respond based on the feeling you're creating, you are evoking with those colors you're using. So you need to know your audience. You need to know the kind of people you are designing for, right? Then the final one, make it fun. See, gradient is fun to use, and you need to make it fun. Play with different colors, right? See, you don't need to be good before you start using. You can start trying it out. Just start playing around this, but don't use any design that is going out, because you don't want people to see your design and ask you that, are you fine? Right? You can just be doing it for fun while you're free. Try to create it for fun while you're free. We will go back to Figma now. I'll show you guys how to create a linear gradient. Right? So you need to have all this at the back of your mind while you are creating gradients. First off, you need to choose the right colors. Secondly, you need to use gradients wisely. Thirdly, you need to know your audience. Very, very important. You need to know your audience. And the final part, you need to make it fun. Gradient is actually very fun. Look at this rectangle I have here now. You can see this is beautiful. The blobs, everything, the gradient is beautiful, right? So now let's go to Figma and just create a gradient style. Let's go to Figma. So okay, let's duplicate this. So let's say we want to use this to create a gradient, right? We want to create a gradient style with this. Let's change the color. We are changing the color. Okay, let's change the color to this. All right, let's change the color to this blue. So you come here. I'm sure you guys are seeing my screen. You come here, linear gradients. You can see linear, right? Click on the linear gradients. Like I mentioned, you can use three, you can use two, you can use two shades of gradient, you can do three shades of gradient, you can do four. It depends on how you want it. And you can do it that with one shade of color, and you can do it with three different shades of color. So let's say we want it to go like this. Look at you guys should look at what I'm doing now. This is, I want the gradient to go from here to here. Can you see? Right. So now I can decide to change this one from this one. I can decide to change it. If I don't want this exact shade of blue, I can decide to use something like this. Can you guys see what I just did? Are you guys with me? So look at the gradient style I just created now. Oh, like, look at this. Is this not beautiful? Like, be sincere. Is this not cool? Right. So gradients are really important. Like, you can actually play around it while you're trying to do it. You can play around it. You can also do something like this. You can also bring it here. Like, just play around it. You can also do it like this. It doesn't have to be one way, right? That's what I'm trying to tell you guys. It doesn't have to be one way. You can see the way the colors are moving. So just make sure you do it in a way that it is really nice. It doesn't have to be one way. This is another one. You can see this is another one. It doesn't have to be one way, but it has to be it has to be done properly, right? It has to be done properly. So while you're still starting out, you can try playing around gradients, play around it, and you will enjoy it. You can see it's you can reduce the shade here. Look at the way I'm reducing it. You can reduce the shade here. Look at this. Looks good, right? This looks good. Now we are using our complementary colors to create the linear gradients. That is what we are using. We're using the complementary color to create the linear gradient. We have our blue as our primary color and our pink as our secondary color, and we've used that to create the linear gradients. So let's assume we are designing. We can actually use this as a background. Yeah, can use this as a background. Let's assume it's a design. You can use this as a background. Do you understand? So gradients are sweet when done properly, but you need to keep trying. You need to keep trying. Don't um don't rush to just try it once and put it online. Gradients can actually it can actually make people look for your house to come and beat you if you don't do it well, right? So all right, so now let's go back to our presentation. So this is one gradient style. We made use of complementary colors for this. Let's before we go to our presentation, let's create another one that we're gonna use with same color. So that one we made use of complementary color. This one, let's make use of same color shade. Okay. So yeah, we have, right. So this is another gradient. We made use of same one blue alone just to create this gradient, right? So you can see, so gradient is really nice. This is how you create gradients. Just keep trying it, keep playing around it, and you will surely love what you're doing. You surely love what you're doing. Now let's go back to our presentation. All right. So a recap. Let's recap what we've done today. Let's have a quick recap of what we've learned today. A quick recap of what we've learned today. Colors. So I mentioned that colors are powerful as language. They strike emotions, they evoke emotions. Brand uses a particular color because it speaks of their brand values, right? And then I also made mention of the color scheme we have. I mean, the traditional color scheme type. We have the monochromatic color, we have the analogous color, we have the complementary color, we have the split complementary color, and we have the triadic color as well. And then we have color psychology. I also made mention of the fact that color psychology is the relationship between color and human psychology. Color stimulates emotions, and that is why you need to understand what each color stands for, what each color means, because they affect people's everyday behavior. Why is Coca-Cola using red? Coca-Cola is using red because it creates excitement, it creates strength, love, energy. And I also asked, I said, have you seen a Coca-Cola's advertisement that is dull or boring? Me, I have not seen one, shall. Coca-Cola's advertisement on my TV. I've never seen the advertisement boring. It's not, it's always energetic. You feel that energy, that excitement. That is one thing about color. So they are using red because it speaks of their brand value. And I also made mention of green. If you're using green, make sure you are using it for a platform or a product that deals with nature, something that deals with freshness, that deals with nature. You don't use green on a fintech product, on a fintech app or fintech website. Also, I made mention of orange and yellow, and we also spoke about purple. Like each colors have what they stand for. I made mention of Nike. The Nike we all know, Nike, the global brand. There's a reason Nike is using black and white as their brand color, right? Also, we spoke about contrast. How do you create contrast? Contrast is a principle of UI design that creates visual balance, right? It helps the users to know what I mean, where a particular action needs to be taken. Do you understand? It creates emphasis on elements. Contrast creates emphasis on elements, right? And we practice different kinds of contrast. Like you need to know how to create contrast. Your design needs to have contrast. Your design must have contrast. It is important. And then we also spoke about the 60-30-10 rule. This rule helps you to create your balance in your color palette. It creates balance, a sense of balance in your color palette. The 60-30-10% rule. The 60% is for your dominant color, the 30% is for your secondary color, or the 10% is for your accent color. Then we also spoke about how you can design a color palette. I made mention of the fact that you can create your own color palette, and I gave you different tricks of how you can create your color palette. Right. Why shades, tones, and tints are important. Like I made mention of why you need to have shades and tones because it creates a visual interest to your color scheme and it retains a sense of balance. Also, you need to add in neutrals. Neutrals are black, white, gray, and brown. Those are neutrals. And you need to add it to your color palette because it creates a form of balance, right? It creates a form of balance to your design, to your color palette rather. And also, I made mention of using photo for your color scheme. You need to use photos for your color scheme. If you are just starting out and you don't know how to make the right decisions on colors yet, just go on Pixels. Look for a picture that you find so interesting and attractive and use one of the photo color generator rather one of the color generator tools I made mention. Use it to bring out to generate colors from it, and there you have your color palette. Very simple. You can see these pictures. We generated colors from these pictures, right? Then I also made mention of color palette tools. These are color palette tools that you can use. We have the colors.co, the Adobe Color, the Color Mind, Canva Color Palette, Pouting, and Color Lovers. You can see it. You can see from this picture, we are able to create this color palette, right? And also the last one, gradient style. I also made mention of the fact that gradients are gradual blending from one color to another, and it is actually very sweet. Gradients are very sweet when done properly, right? So, and you can actually use one color shade to create a gradient, or you can use two shades, you can use three shades, you can use four shades, any way you want it. And these are examples of gradients. And also, we made mention of gradient best practices. How do you create gradient? Like, what do you need to have in mind before creating gradient style? You need to choose the right color. You need to use gradients wisely. You need to know your audience, and you have to make it fun. Right? Awesome. So that is all for today. I believe we've learned a lot. Now, time for questions. Now, time for questions. Yeah, I believe we've learned a lot today. Time for questions. Let me go back to see if we have any question. Mm, I'm coming with question. All right. Okay, so time for questions. Awesome session so far. Yeah, green can go with recycling. Okay. Please, if you want to ask question, just raise up your hand. There's a place for you to raise hand. Raise up your hand so I can unmute you. Please raise up your hand if you want to ask question. This is the time for questions now. Yeah. Of course, I'm going to post this slide in the Slack workspace, and also the recording will be uploaded definitely. All the classes, the recording will be uploaded definitely. How do we use the color generating tool? I think I just did that. I did that when we're actually talking about the color generating tool. I think we did that, right? All right, you're raising your hand. Onyi, okay. Let me check. Onyi, I can't see your hands being raised. Oh. All right, let me Onyi. Is it Onyiye? Okay, let me unmute you. Okay, Onyiye. Onyiye, I've actually you are now unmuted. You guys have to do it one after the other. And you can also ask your question in the chat. I think that would be better. So you can also ask your question in the chat. You can also ask a question in the chat, like type out your question. Okay, Wisdom, I've sent you a request to unmute. I've sent you a request to unmute, Wisdom.
Hello, good morning.
Bamboo is not a fintech app. Oh. I said green can be used. Bamboo is not a fintech app. You need to go and read about Bamboo. Bamboo is not a fintech app. Bamboo is a stock app. It's an app for stock. And what is stock? Onye, can you hear me?
Some what? Yes, I can
Bamboo
hear you, but
is
stop.
not a fintech
Isn't it
app. It's
under
an app for
fintech?
stock. Huh?
For stocks,
Is
isn't
it
it under financial stuff?
you need to see you need to know what the brand is doing before you actually say what their color, what are they doing. Look at Bamboo logo. What does Bamboo logo, the picture alone, the Bamboo's logo, what picture does it create in your head? It looks like leaf. The Bamboo
Yeah.
logo, if you look at it the first time, what does it create in your head? Leaf. So you need
Yeah.
to know what that brand is doing before you actually know what the color is. Not say because okay, stock is under fintech. Yeah, stock stock is not really under fintech. You don't get stock is not really under fintech because it's not like you are paying and you're buying. It's not like paying and you're doing anything. You are investing. That is investment. Stock is
Oh,
investment. Yes. So you guys need to take time to read more about color psychology because if you don't want to confuse yourself, you need to take time to read more about color psychology. So you need to know what these guys are doing and why they are using that particular color. Do you understand? So that is it.
okay.
Is it compulsory to incorporate all the colors generated on the palette to your design? No,
Okay.
you're not incorporating all the colors generated on the palette to your design. No, Please, now how do you know a compatible primary and secondary color? I did that though. I did that with the Figma. So I did that with the Figma. I did a simple formula of how to know a complementary of how to know complementary colors, like how you can do it on Figma, the very easiest manner. Wisdom, please type your question. Type your question. In terms of contrast, how about for disabled buttons? Are we allowed to use blending colors? For disabled buttons, you don't use blending colors. I made that example because an active state, there is a state being active, and that other part shouldn't be like that. You guys should always, you guys should be listening, please, please. That part I kept mentioning that because this field is active, because the user is typing their email address, it is not supposed to be that way. It is not supposed to look like a disabled field. Do you understand? So you can't use blending colors for a disabled button. Why are you using color for something that is disabled? You can't use blending colors, like it shouldn't. When I mentioned that colors pass message across, it evoke feelings. That is what I'm saying, right? Concerning that place, it is the user is typing our email address. There should be a balance to show that this field is active. It shouldn't look like the place that is still the field that is still being disabled, right? So I think that's all. Wisdom, please type your question. You said your means did not work. I think that's the end. Kindly type your question. To calculate the 60-30-10 rule, you need to know your primary color, your secondary color, and your accent color. That's all. I made mention of it. The 60% carries your primary color, the 30% carries your secondary color, and the 10% carries your accent color. Very simple. That is how you do it. So for the contrast, after a design, someone that I'm learning with, the design looked fine, but after checking the contrast checking plugin, it says it fails. Also, the A11 contrast checker, after reading up on the I don't understand what you're saying. I'm working on how do I use the primary, orange, secondary, red, and neutral colors? Hey, are you asking this question? I don't think I'm gonna answer that because I've said this thing over and over again. In Babu's case, I think green can also mean growth and development when you invest wisely. Yes. So I think that's all for today. Wisdom, your question is really not a question because I've answered this question over and over again. How do you use primary and secondary color? I've answered it. How you guys need to pay attention when you are in class, please. You need to pay attention when you are in class. Please, please. Look at the 60-30-10% rule. That is how you apply your colors. Your primary color is carry 60%, and I gave example. You saw pictures of interiors decoration. You see the one that is 60%. You see where it is like it is more than the 30%. I don't know the light you want me to share again other than that. The one that carry 30%, you see it is like minimal, and the 10% is very, very minimal. So I think, which I don't know the other light you want me to share apart from that. What I'm trying to tell you is that 60%, just like this, 60% is gonna be more. Your primary color would be more. You use it more in your design because it is the primary color and it carries 60% in your 60-30-10 rule. Why aren't we allowed to use black color for text? You can't use black in a design. You can use black in a design. Black, that is 00000 is not a good color to use in design. You don't use black, you use gray. Yeah, you don't use black in design, you use gray. You don't use it. There is no why it's not why are you not allowed. It is the design principle. UI design principle, you don't use black in design. Ibrahim, I don't understand your question. I don't understand the story you're trying to put together. So I that's all for today. Um, Ibrahim, I don't understand your question. If any contrast checking tool tell you your contrast is not correct, then believe me, the contrast is not correct, because I made mention of the fact that we have different kinds of users. There are users that have color blinding. So it means, and you need to design for accessibility. When you are dealing with colors, you have to design for accessibility. Every kind of user must be able to access that design without having to use glasses. Yes. So that you need to consider the law of accessibility. Is this design accessible by this kind of user? Accessibility is very important, is very, very important. You are designing accessible designs. And if you make a contrast and you use a contrast checking tool, and the tool is telling you that that contrast is poor, trust me, it is poor. Because you're seeing it with the eyes of, you have a normal visual eye. What about users that have color blindness? Is it actually accessible for them? All right. So we can use shades of black, but not pure black. Yes, you can use shades of black, right? But don't use pure black in design. You don't use pure black, but shades of black and gray. Yes. The accent color is the color that doesn't really surface. Like you guys can see it from the picture. That is why I add pictures there, because when you see something, you understand it more. You can see the accent color, the 10%, it doesn't really show, but it is there. It doesn't really show like the 60 and 30, but it is there. Everything is just to create a form of balance. And that is why I added a picture, so you guys can see it. At least if you are seeing it, you will understand it more. You're seeing something that looks exactly like what I'm explaining, so you understand it more. So accent color is just like your third color, the third color, which can be a neutral color. And accent color doesn't really show. It's just little. It doesn't really show. It doesn't really show like the 60, your primary color and the secondary color. Um, who asked this? Does the same rule apply to using white? I don't understand. Which rule? Which rule exactly? Which rule exactly? I don't understand using white. White is used in design. If you're talking about black, white is being used in design. White is used. Why don't you want to use white? But black, you can't use black because of your user's eyes. We are talking about accessibility here. You can't use black. You need to consider accessibility when designing. That is why you can't use black in UI design. But of course, you can use white. You can use white if you are having, okay, now look at my presentation. You're having the gray background. What can you use to write on it? Is it not, it's white now to create the contrast. So this is actually trust me guys, this is very simple. You guys should be paying attention in class. There are reasons why I am adding pictures to every slide, so you can see it and it can actually pass down, it can explain more to you guys. Right. All right. So that's all for today's class. And I hope with this class today you've been able to understand color psychology. You're able to understand what each color means and how to use the right color. And now you know how to actually create your own color palette. Right. So I'm sure you guys have learned a lot today. The session will be recorded online. Session will be recorded online, and I mean it will be posted online. The recordings will be posted, and we everybody, you can go back to watch it. I mean, you can go back to watch it. For the people that are not in class, please tell them they should go back to watch it. People should not design and be using colors that doesn't actually depict that brand value. Colors are really important. Please, colors are really important. You need to do it. You need to make good use of it. You need to make good use of it. So You can, once it's uploaded, I'll make the announcement in the Slack channel, in the Slack workspace. You can go on YouTube again to watch. Please go on YouTube to watch if you want to rewatch, because I mean the class is something that you would always need. You will always need it. And for your teammates that are not in class today, please let them know that today's class was really interesting. What we learned today is part of what you will always do as a UI designer. You can't run away from it. It is your job, everyday job. You have to always deal with colors. You have to always deal with colors. All right, guys. So thank you guys for today. And please, though, always post, comment, though. Always guys comment on our YouTube, oh. And please tell your people, tell your friends to subscribe too. Your friends that wants to learn UI UX design, tell them to subscribe to our channels, watch the videos, like and comment. Always drop positive comments for us so we can actually feel motivated to do more. You guys see, I actually woke up at midnight just to have this class, right? So please try to always drop positive comments for us, and like and subscribe and share with your friends too. All right, guys. Yeah, have a blessed weekend. Take care of yourself, and bye. Yeah, bye.